You're listening to After the Bell, a space to reset, reflect, and build the kind of resilience that real life demands. Hi, I'm Dylan, a teacher, a personal trainer, a fitness enthusiast, and a storyteller. After facing some of life's hardest moments, I've learned one thing. Strength is built when no one's watching. This season is just me and you. Raw, unfiltered, and honest. Just stories, lessons, and mental tools to help you show up for your own life, even when it gets tough and heavy. Because resilience isn't about being tough all the time. It's about showing up even when it hurts. So let's get into it. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode. Like I said, I'm trying to be more consistent with this. It's not always easy, but small micro changes make big impacts, especially if you're looking at something for the long term. You make the small changes in your life now, which is what I'm trying to do. Of course, I don't have to do the podcast. I don't have to sit down on my laptop and a mic and talk into it and try to create some type of value, if any. But I kind of like doing this, and if I quit now doing it, that means I really didn't see any faith in it in the first place. And that's not how I want to look at my life and anything that I do. Sometimes, maybe you've made a mistake, and when that mistake is causing huge negative impacts on your life, and then you stop it. But when something that is giving you a little bit of positive impacts, it's always nice for you to try a bit more to see what you can come up with. And maybe I may be a bit inconsistent at times, but when I settle into that rhythm of doing things and rhythm in life, then I'll be way more consistent the way I want to be, like I've done with other things, like with running in the gym and all those normal things that we do every single day. Small habits will create long-lasting impacts. So what I want to talk about today is I've been reading this book by Dr. Gabor Maté. That the name of the book is When the Body Says No. And honestly, it's one of those books that hits you in the gut, in the best way, obviously. It dives into this powerful idea that the body doesn't just randomly break down or get sick. And sometimes you feel that you might have this, this back pain and this recurring back pain, or the same type of, stomach problems, IBS, or you get those problems where you have these issues that are resurfacing over and over again. And sometimes when you zone in on it, you realize that you've been thinking certain things at that time, and that's why you get this problem. Or you've been around certain people, and that's why you get that problem. It's not a coincidence. It's actually exactly what happens according to Dr. Gabor Maté. So this book actually talks to us in that way. And when we ignore our emotions, suppress our stress, or push through pain without dealing with it, the body eventually says enough, and the body eventually says no. And I'm sure you would have realized sometimes you're doing so much of things for yourself, for other people, all the time, sometimes even when it's like inconvenience to you, and then you find that you get sick. And there's one thing this one person, maybe your boss or someone else, has been waiting on you to do, and you don't have to do it because it's not your job description, but you decided anyway to do it. Eventually the time comes on the day you end up getting sick. And the reason for that is the body is like, enough is enough, and I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It spoke for you. So Dr. Gabor Maté connects chronic illness, so things like autoimmune diseases, cancer, even things like migraines, to the emotional patterns we develop, especially from childhood. So that's the big key here. The childhood key that we all need to unpack and we need to unlock, because we don't normally do that. We just feel whatever happened in our childhood, that's it. That's how life is, and we move on. And if you think that's just how life is, with nothing to compare to, that's exactly why we need to unlock it with this childhood key that we've been given now. So we develop these patterns, like for example, people pleasing, never saying no to anyone or anything, bottling up anger, or always putting others first. He's not saying it's our fault. It may come across that way, but it's basically our upbringing, it's our programming that we've gained or developed along the way. But he's asking us to take a closer and deeper look at how our unresolved emotional stress can silently wear down the body over time. And I'm sure some of you would feel that you may brush it off as, that can't be, and how can my, childhood trauma, or not even trauma, things that I've been through in childhood, actually dictate my adult body, how my adult body behaves with certain illnesses, or even when we create certain illnesses. But you'd be surprised just how linked those two worlds actually are. When I read this book, I was baffled. Every time I read the book, I became more and more baffled while understanding, but becoming baffled because there's such a strong link between chronic illness and the way we grew up and the way we continue to develop the same relationships and the same cycles and patterns as we grow. So it's raw, it's real, and it really makes you stop and ask, what have I been carrying that I've never actually faced? And what would happen if I finally did? So those are tough questions. I'm all about tough questions and what you can ask yourself. So maybe you can think and ask yourself, what are these chronic things? And when I say chronic, what's been happening in my body for a while now? And I went to the doctor a few times, had a few scans, blood tests, and they can't really pick up anything. Or maybe they picked up autoimmune, and you realize, like, I'm an adult. I'm like, over 30, over 40, or whatever, and I'm getting these autoimmune diseases. I'm getting this, maybe getting this diagnosis of cancer. Why is this happening now? And I thought I was always fit, or if not totally fit, I actually do things the normal way, drink enough water, eat food I need to, I'm generally active, and how am I getting all these things now? And if you are that person and you are at that point that you don't know where you're getting this from, then maybe you should take a look into your childhood and see how you've been raised, seeing how you've been brought up, because a lot of the time it deals with neglect, it deals with abandonment, it deals with not being validated, not being nurtured. All those things that we take for granted are the things that can creep up later in life and give us those illnesses. In fact, one of the most baffling things that I've read from Dr. Gabor Maté's book is the fact that they took, I'm not sure how many patients' personality profiles, probably around 100 or so. They took all those personality profiles, and they had a group of psychologists and like neuroscientists, like Gabor Maté himself, and they looked at it, at each personality profile, and they realized that with a 94% accuracy in one set of data and 78% accuracy in another set of data, that these people have cancer or have autoimmune. Just by looking at the personality. They didn't look at anything else. They didn't look at their diet. They didn't look at their predisposition to these type of illnesses that they may have. The fact that it may be hereditary. They looked at their personality only, and they discovered that with the 94% in one case and 78% in another case, that all those people that checked the boxes for certain personality traits actually had cancer and autoimmune. So with that type of data that we have around, I don't think we can just, bat it off as this is just a coincidence and these things don't actually happen when it does. So when we're looking at ourselves and we want to figure out what's wrong with us, sometimes going to the doctor may not be a good thing. I'm not a medical doctor anyway. I'm not a medical personnel in any way, but I have dealt with situations where going to the doctor made things a little worse, especially when you're dealing with the fact that doctors are so easy to give you the bad news and then giving you, step one, step two to sort yourself out. Obviously, they benefit, the medical industry benefits, but you are the one person that doesn't benefit from this. It's very hard for them to let you go down to the path of physio, fitness, nutrition, and even just therapy. We're talking through your emotions and feelings and finding out where exactly might be this trigger that actually got you to the point of where you get this autoimmune disease or you get this diagnosis of cancer and so on. So it is quite interesting. The book is called When the Body Says No. This is by Dr. Gabor Maté, Gabor Mate. So listening to this, listening to the synopsis of this book and actually reading the book really makes you think about how you've been raised. Was love or attention really important? Was neglect or you being neglected really important? Should we look at that? Maybe you took it as this is your normal life, but I don't think how we can look at that anymore and especially if you read this book, it will totally change your mind, and you would not look at the medical industry and your life the same way again. But we do need to take ourselves a bit seriously, and we need to look at the fact that, yeah, there is a major link between our childhood, where we are now, and where we want to be. Because he also talks about the illnesses that are actually divided into personality groups, like type A personalities and type B personalities. So type A personalities, where he talks about people that are like very forward center movement. They do a lot of work. They're always working hard. They have less sleep. The leaders in their companies, the managers, the CEOs, they are the people that even they, let's say they're not really working, but they are the more dominant type of people. He basically cascaded it down as if those type of people would get more of the heart conditions. They have more of a weaker heart because they're always pushing forward, which kind of makes sense. And he talks about type B personalities. Type B personalities are people that basically have this balance between work, balance between life. They're a bit more relaxed. They know when to say no, but also sometimes have a problem with saying no. They want to help people, but they also know that helping themselves is important. They have a bit of a balance between all things that they do. They may not be seen as that strong and assertive as type A personalities, but they are in their own way. Now, with this type of personality, there are lesser, let's say, medical conditions that come from this. Although they are, but he puts it down as if they are less. And the last one, type C personalities, which is not really a type of personality. The reason why they created this is because of illnesses, weirdly enough. So type C personalities are people that are people pleasers, people that don't have boundaries, they don't say no, they work all the time. If you're busy and someone asks you to do something for them, but you really can't do it, you still say yes and you still try to accommodate that person. You are the person that tries to keep the peace between families, even when there's no peace and no one else cares about it. You are the person that will do favors for people, even though it's a pain for you, it's inconvenient for you, you'll still do it. These are the people that Dr. Gabor Maté says that they will be getting autoimmune disease, they might be getting diagnosis of cancer, they might be getting maybe some parts of asthma, migraines. And yes, those are all awful, but it's not like we can't get out of it. And when I noticed, my thing about getting asthma every now and again, I'm not a chronic sufferer of asthma, but it comes on every now and again. And weirdly enough, in the book, he talks about this and he explains that, when you're a child and you don't feel safe, and obviously from my point of view, my father committing suicide that young, I obviously felt like a large part of my safety or my backing was missing. And when that kind of happened, for the rest of your life, I was 7, for the rest of my life, I felt like I had no one on my side because my father could leave me that way. So I kind of felt a bit lost, a bit unsafe. No matter what everyone else did in their power to try to make me feel safe, the fact that that part was missing, I kind of felt like, why talk about him? There's no reason to talk about how safe I am, how unsafe I am. There's no reason to talk about what he did or what was done, because what's going to come of it? And I say this myself too, it's not going to bring him back in any way. So what's talking about you going to do? So the body kind of like understands that you can't express your emotions because I was suppressing it that way. And together with that, the bronchiole starts to close up because there's no point in expressing anything. The bronchiole closes up and reduces the amount of oxygen that's coming in, which basically is one of the first signs of having asthma. When I read that, I was like, whoa, that makes a lot of sense. So a lot of the times when I do get stressed, I don't have a very high cortisol response. So maybe something crazy would happen, like I've been hijacked before at gunpoint, and as it's happening, I don't have a huge cortisol response. I can actually think very well under pressure without being stressed. I can talk to the person. I've actually spoken to the person that had the gun on me and trying to convince him not to take the bag that I had. For me, it was normal, but for everyone else watching, it was like, what on earth is he doing? But I realized now I have a bit of a diminished cortisol response because as I was growing up, thinking about how things have happened, my mind was like, why say anything? Nothing's going to come of it. You don't need to stress. Stressing is really not going to do anything about it. If you cry, it's even worse. Nobody really cares about that. So with the point of me trying to solve it or do something about it, I realized there's no point in doing it. So I have a very diminished cortisol response. And because of that reason, you kind of feel like this level of numbness. You don't feel anything. You don't feel like you have any value. You don't feel like you exist in any way sometimes, because your body is used to not giving you the cortisol response for you to run out of that burning house. It just, it's whatever, because you walk slow or fast, either you burn or won't burn. So that's how I kind of saw things. But now I realize that, suppressing emotions is huge, and you can get all sorts of diseases, all sorts of illnesses from keeping it in, because the body doesn't realize that on the outside, if you not running around and trying to get yourself out of it means you don't care enough. And then your immune system starts to, especially people that have autoimmune and cancer, they suppress all the anger, and the anger turns in on them on the inside, and it starts attacking themselves. The case with autoimmune disease and rheumatoid arthritis and, certain diagnosis of cancer. And it is baffling that can actually happen. So how I look at this is, you try and somehow put yourself first. I know it may be hard. Put yourself first, that can also benefit other people, but not so much so where it takes you out of the equation, where you're doing things for other people now and you stop focusing on yourself. And what I mean by this is, if you go down the route of exercising, if you exercise or go on this walk or run, and other people want to spend time with you, normally you spend time with them before you started this walk and run thing, but now they're going to spend time with you. You might as well take them on that walk or that run. Or if you live in other places, do it on a video call or do it on a audio call or whatever. Let them be with you at that time, because you need to do this for yourself. And maybe somehow that can rub off on them. Going to the gym or eating healthy. If you decide to eat healthy in your house and everyone's relying on you to cook, then you cook healthy for everybody else too, because you're eating healthy already, and it'll obviously only benefit them. So don't look at it as you being selfish, because selfish is the first step of being selfless anyway. You need that energy for yourself first. And then your body will start to recognize this new pattern of you trying to take care of yourself, and it'll try and change things internally. It'll change things in terms of your mind, your mentality, how you view yourself, and other things around you can change too. So with this book of Dr. Gabor Maté, When the Body Says No, it's quite an important read, especially if you want to figure out, who you are, where your body is right now, what happened to you in the past, and if it dictates where you are now. I feel this is one of the best things you can do for yourself. And so the book, Dr. Gabor Maté, you can look for When the Body Says No. You can find him on YouTube. There's a lot of podcasts where he speaks about these things, so get you a start before you actually pick up the book or the audio book or whatever it is. And I feel that it can change your life immensely. So that's it for this episode of After the Bell, and with me trying to spread some type of value wherever I can. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and please feel free to comment on Spotify, leave a review on Apple, and I'll see you definitely in the next one.
You're listening to After the Bell, a space to reset, reflect, and build the kind of resilience real life demands. Hosted by Dylan Murrigan, teacher, trainer, and storyteller. This podcast dives into the raw moments that shape us, the stories that strengthen us, and the mindset tools that help us keep going, even when it's tough. Because strength is built when no one's watching.